Hey everyone, this is Dr. B from Steps to the Future coming to you with this week's C3 with Dr. B. Now, some of you know that I changed the name to C3 with Dr. B so we could focus on career awareness, career development, and career exploration. And sometimes people say, what does that have to do with going to college? Well, folks, when you go to college and you get out of college, you're going to work. So it all leads to what your career is going to be, hopefully. And, many of us do change careers over time and we don't necessarily stay in the same career. So before I let my guests introduce themselves, I want to do a couple of public service announcements. So first, you guys know how much I love books. You know that I always like to have people read books, take out books from their public library, and just generally enjoy books. So remember, if you come in during the conversation, please join in the chat. If you have any questions or comments for me or the panelists, please make sure you let us know. So today's book is called How to College: What to Know Before You Go and When You're There. And it's by Andrea Malkin Brenner and Laura Hope Schwartz. Now, the reason I chose this book is because right now, those of us that are working with high school students who have been offered admission to colleges will be going off to college soon. And it's a huge transition. So I know some of my seniors will be receiving this book as a gift. And it has some great information in it. So just let me tell you a little bit about some of the different parts of the book. So again, parents, if you're thinking about something to get for your child, and they'll read it eventually. I know sometimes kids say, "Oh, books, I don't know about that," but it's something to look at. Part one is the new college you. Then it's college is school is part two. Then it goes on. There's a part five is about money talk, and part seven is your to-do list. So again, it's called How to College: What to Know Before You Go and When You Get There. And you see the authors there on the screen. So if you're looking for a book to give to your favorite niece, nephew, cousin, sibling, or what have you, this is a great book. And I got to meet the author at the IECA Spring Conference, which we will be talking about in a bit. The other public service announcement that I would like to share with all of you. Now, you know how I am about careers. I think it's so important for students to find out about the variety of careers that are out there. So I'm always looking for opportunities for students to learn. So today it happened to come up in my news feed, and this is from the New York Public Library, which does a series of career panels that are absolutely fantastic. So I want to share that information with you. So let's see. So here we have it. This is some career panels that they have coming up in the near future. And the first one is tomorrow evening, where they will be having people who are in tech professions come and talk to you about what it's like being in those professions. And it does say that the audience is geared toward 13 to 18-year-olds, but also for young adults and pre-GED students who are 16 to 24 years old. The nice thing about these is that they are online. So this Tuesday, tomorrow evening, it will be on tech professions. Next Tuesday on hip hop related professions. And the following Tuesday on civics and public service panel. So let me make sure you have the URL so you can find this. So here's the URL that you can go to. So it's the New York Public Library career panels. And the URL is bit.ly / capitalize NYPL for the New York Public Library _ career. If you know me, you know how much I love libraries. And I think libraries are such hidden gems and always offering opportunities for our students to learn. So again, these are free to anybody in the United States. So make sure you jump on this and find out about it and find out about these careers. This is a fantastic way to find out about new careers. So folks, I am going to take like that short 10-second break. And then when I come back, I will have my guests on and I will have them introduce themselves. So everyone, stay tuned and join us for the recap. And remember, if you're out there watching this live, thank you so much. And make sure you share it out to other people. And for those of you that are watching it on the replay, please make sure you still can put in your comments because we will still be here off in the distance somewhere, ready to answer your questions. So, see you in about 10 seconds. Hello, hello. We are back, and I am here with my lovely guests. So, let me tell you a little bit about our group. So, we are all members of the Independent Educational Consultants Association, otherwise known as IECA. We are also members of the IECA Black Affinity Group. Black IECs Affinity Group. So, this is an opportunity for us to get together and have conversations in a safe space, and to share information with each other. And we actually have one of our co-chairs with us this evening, Lisa Thomas. So Lisa, I am going to start with you. So all I want you to do is just introduce yourself, tell folks your name, the name of your company, where you're from, and anything else that you'd like to tell us. And then then after the introductions, we'll talk a little bit about the conference.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, again, my name is Dr. Lisa Thomas. I have my current practice. It's called Educated Mindset Consulting, and I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And so I'm about 15 miles north of UC Berkeley. And so my business I started about 2 years ago, so still fairly new. And I've been doing this type of work really for about 20 years. I've worked in higher education previously, my first career as an administrator and a professional in higher education. So all things student centered. And I usually focus on anyone in 10th through the 12th grade, anyone with a GED, transfer students, and adults who want to pursue an undergraduate or graduate degree. I provide pre-college advising and in-college advising to help them with school. So that's what I do. Thank you for inviting me, Belinda.
Thank you so much for being here, Lisa. And now we're going to have Rose Ellen. You're going to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Good evening. My name is Rose Ellen McCombie, and I am the principal consultant with Beyond Ivy Educational Consulting, which is based here in Oviedo, Florida, just outside of Orlando, Florida. I am a newer practice to the area, and I am interested in working with students who are homeschoolers, who are student athletes, interested in participating in college bound athletics. My background is in education with teaching experience, with training my children at home, with opening various communities throughout the Orlando area for homeschoolers. So I've been very active on the administrative end, and I am an educator at heart. So I'm very honored to be here on Dr. B's show tonight, and I look forward to the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here with us. This is fantastic. And I think one of the things I want people to understand is that just like you have the opportunity to choose a doctor that you want to see, you get to choose the dentist that you want to see, you have an opportunity to choose the independent educational consultant that you can best develop a relationship with. We come in all flavors and personalities, and that is so important when you are finding someone to work with your young person, that it's someone that they can build a rapport with, someone that they can trust. You know, we talk about know, liking, and trusting people. And one of the things you have here is you have a selection of folks to choose from if you so desire the services of an independent educational consultant. We will be having a couple of members, at least one member that will be joining us later in the broadcast because they were busy with the student and were not able to come at this time. So all three of us. So this is the cool thing about this. I met both of these ladies in person for the first time at the conference. So we just had the IECA Spring Conference in Seattle, Washington, and it was fabulous. I've known Lisa for, oh, what, a year and a half? Two, is
Yeah.
it been 2 years?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. But this is the first time I got to meet her in person. So it was so
Wow.
cool to be able to meet her in person. And for Rose Ellen, I've heard so much about you from your big sister, Antoinette Batiste. And all I heard from people was about your enthusiasm and your camaraderie and how people just gravitated towards you and your bubbly personality. So it was so wonderful to get the opportunity to meet both of you in real life. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
So speaking of the conference, who Lisa and Lisa, was this your first time?
My first in person. Yes.
Oh,
Okay, first in person. So tell me what you thought about it. Oh,
Oh my,
just overall general feeling.
yes. It was, as the kids would say, off the chain. I don't know if they still say that anymore. But it was fast. It was so much information. I felt like a sponge, and I loved the camaraderie, meeting people for the first time in person. I kept saying, "Oh my gosh, you're real! You're not coming through my screen." Um, but just the menu of different, web seminars and workshops, and just the willingness to share information and just expertise was just unbelievably amazing.
mhm.
So I garnered so much new information. I went to sessions that captured my attention around issues I did not know, and then those that I did know, and just had that space. As an introvert, I needed space to sit down and just breathe. And they had a room for that. It was just really spectacular. I really enjoyed myself at this conference.
Yeah, I love what you said about finding space to just be by yourself and being an introvert, because I find myself sometimes too. People say, "Oh, you're not an introvert." Well, yeah, I am at heart, and sometimes it is overwhelming
Yeah.
because there's probably about 1,000 people there, and it's crowded, and there's sessions, and you just want to talk with everyone because you only usually see them in this little square box. So to
Mhm.
be able to see them in person, you just get so excited. But then after a while, you're like, whew, I'm feeling kind of drained here with all this conversation. So I'm going to have to like step out for a bit. And I know a couple of times I went up to the room and just said, okay, we're just going to breathe a little bit here. Just a
Absolutely.
little bit. That is so true. So Rose Ellen, this was your very first conference, right?
This is my second
Oh,
one.
your second. So tell us
Yeah.
about your experience at this conference.
I loved it. I really loved it. My first one, I didn't know anyone. And then coming back this time after attending various meetings throughout the 6 months when you're not with one another in person, to really see one another, it was awesome. So, um, it's a wonderful organization in that the culture promotes sharing and collegiality and growth. And that is really demonstrated through the conversations that you have with your colleagues and their willingness to help you to grow. It's very encouraging and totally inspiring to be amongst such wonderful women, such as yourselves, that I'm joining with on the show. To be a part of this movement of educating people and helping them to go to college is exciting. So the conference, A1.
Yeah, the conference was absolutely wonderful. For people who don't know, IECA has two conferences a year. We have a spring conference in May, and we have a fall conference in November. The fall conference was in San Diego. So, because I knew the spring conference was going to be in Seattle, I just decided I didn't want to do two West Coast trips. So, I said, okay, I've been to San Diego, I've seen some of the colleges that were on the tour list. So let me go to Seattle so that I could take part in the conference and also in the tours. So let me just set up a little bit for people. So our conferences always have tours attached to them, so we can get to visit colleges. We have tours prior to the start of the conference, and then there are tours after the conference if you choose to partake in them. Of course, there's a fee for them. They're not free. So again, this is part of our professional development, ensuring that as we're talking with our students, we have a firsthand knowledge of some of the colleges that our students may be interested in. At this point, I know many of us, we're trying to get out and visit colleges now that the world has opened back up a little bit, and we can get on these campuses and get a feel for what it's like so that when we talk to certain students, we can have certain colleges in mind. Now, there are almost 4,000 colleges across the United States. So there is no way we're getting to visit all of those colleges. However, because of our great network, I can reach out to Lisa and ask her about colleges in California. I can reach out to Rosellen and ask her about colleges in Florida that I may not have visited. So that's what is so great about our organization and about the network we have, because we have a built-in professional development with our colleagues, and it really helps us to help students and their families. So with that being said, for the Monday, actually, prior to the official conference start, did either of you do a pre-conference or did you do a tour?
I did a pre-con.
Okay, and what was your pre-con, Rosellen?
It was on AI.
Ooh, want to tell us a little bit about that? Because we know that's a huge topic of conversation.
It was. I mean, it was very enlightening, and I really needed to go to educate myself more on the platform and how it can or should be used. And really, it changed my thinking, because initially I went in thinking that this is not something we should touch. Don't go near it. You'll be considered a cheater. And I left thinking that not only do you have to know how to use it, but we as counselors have to be more informed on how to use it properly. So just being able to hear from college administrators on their take and how they were grappling with the use of the platform, with how it will literally change our landscape and everything that we do. I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to attend and continue to learn about AI and how it will impact our profession.
Okay, thank you. And we have another one of our wonderful colleagues that has joined us. So Antoinette, I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, to tell the folks out there a little bit about you and about your business.
Sorry for joining late. I had some technical difficulties getting in.
Okay.
So yeah, Antoinette Batiste. My consulting practice is Educational Pathways with Antoinette Batiste, which has been I've had this practice since 2009, and I have been a member of IECA since 2012. After attending Summer Training Institute in 2012. So I focus primarily on high school students, high school to college, and working with those students and their families. I also work with some students that are looking to transfer from community college to a four-year institution, and have dabbled a little bit in grad school, but not a lot, mostly, kind of reviewing some essays. So love the work that I do, love the colleagues that are on the show today. Really love the community within IECA, and specifically, I really enjoy the community, Belinda, that you and I have been able to kind of plant the seed for and watch it water, and that is our Black IEC Affinity group as part of IECA. Take a real point of pride in that, and it's wonderful. So thank you for having me today.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. So for folks who don't know, Antoinette and I met during STI 2012. And I keep telling her, because folks know that I relocated to North Carolina from Rhode Island reluctantly. And she is the silver lining in a dark cloud, because if I hadn't moved, I wouldn't have met her. So whenever I'm feeling like, huh, God, I wish I was home in Rhode Island, I'm like, yeah, but then I wouldn't know my twin. So I have to make sure I keep that foremost in my mind when things get a little crazy here in North Carolina for me. So Antoinette, we just previous to you coming on, we just talked a little bit about our overall experience with the conference. So share your overall experience with the conference for you.
You know, IECA conferences are so full. They're so rich. There are just so many things. And my guidance, and I know I shared this with Rose Ellen at her first IECA conference in San Diego, and that is pace yourself and get out of the conference what you feel that you need. So this conference, I did attend the one in San Diego. So this conference, I was a little bit more determined to go to more sessions. I cautioned myself against getting overwhelmed with all of the sessions, all of the parts and related to AI, and so I kind of saved myself from being overwhelmed there. Although I do still have lots to learn about that, as well as the digital SAT, the next new thing that we have to deal with. Um, but it was wonderful to see colleagues because a lot of folks did not come out to San Diego, and so they were here. They were in Seattle, so that was very nice. Just seeing lots of new faces, but reconnecting with others. Getting an opportunity to talk to some of the vendors whose products I use, who I'm not using probably as efficiently as I could be, should be, and just continuing on with the professional development in terms of the content from workshops. And but for me, it's really about the connections with people. That is just what's really important. And having been in the little boxes for 3 years and now suddenly seeing people and realizing some people are tall and some people are short, and it's like, wow, we look different than that little box. That really was like, all part of the fun and getting, I mean, it's really crazy that Lisa and I live maybe an hour apart, and we went to Seattle and met each other. So, but that's also, that's fun too. So, and then being a new board member for the IECA Foundation, the foundation fundraising event was a lot of fun. And I know I dragged some of you along, but hopefully you had a good time. It's for a good cause. And getting out on the dance for a little bit. I still can't wait to see the pictures. But being able to, in all seriousness, being in different spaces within IECA, and we have, some folks are newer, some have been around, some in leadership roles, some are figuring out how to become, step into some of those leadership roles, and just doing. It was just fun. I felt like it was, kind of an ambassador both of the association and of the foundation. So that was fun.
Okay, thank you for that. So folks, you can see that these conferences fill so many gaps for us, from
Mhm.
professional development to networking, definitely expanding our knowledge on so many topics that are coming out. So Lisa, what did you do on the first day on Monday? Did you do a pre-conference or did you do a tour?
I didn't get a chance to do either of those. I
Okay.
came in when we did the first keynote session.
Okay.
So, and I came in with the mindset that I was doing two things. I was building my competencies as a counselor and also building competencies for my business. And so that's how I chose most of my sessions as I move forward.
Yeah, that is so good to know because it's important for people to understand that a conference of this magnitude has so much to offer so
Mhm.
many people at different times of the day.
Mhm.
Lisa talked a little bit. I don't know if you heard Antoinette about being an introvert and having to go to that wellness room, that quiet room every now and then. Somehow I missed that quiet room. I just kept ducking into the corner of places of going up to the room and just like breathing a little bit. I had the pleasure the first day of actually doing a college tour and went to visit the University of Washington, UW, as people call it. And I typically do not have students, that apply to the University of Washington, but I've heard so much about it that I figure, okay, I'm here. This is an opportunity for me to go and visit. It
Mhm.
was like, do I do a pre-conference or do I do a college tour? And I figure, okay, let me do the college tour. And I'm really glad that I did because, again, learning a lot, being on a college campus and hearing from the people who are there on a daily basis and seeing the physical layout, seeing the city and the towns that surround the colleges gives us a better idea of who that might be a good fit for. What student will I put this college on their list? Because it will be one of many colleges, because there isn't just one best fit college. There's multiple colleges that are good fits for a variety of reasons. So Antoinette, I know that you got the chance to facilitate, to be a bus mom on a tour. So tell us a little bit about where, your school that you went to visit and being a bus mom.
Yeah, being a bus mom, I mean, it's all part of, taking one for the team. The person who was to be one of the facilitators, one of the bus moms was ill. So I've done this before, and so I was asked last minute to do it, which was actually kind of fun because the last time I was a bus mom was at the New Orleans conference in 2016, and I had the same bus mom partner. So it was great. So Dory and I were the bus moms, and we went to Seattle University. And one of the reasons that I chose to go to Seattle University is a tour. I had toured University of Washington before. I get lots of students that apply to UW. And I don't get as many students applying to Seattle University, but one of my seniors in the graduating 2023 had visited Seattle U, applied, really enjoyed it, got accepted, went to accepted students day, and decided to commit. And so I really wanted to see that school. And as I was walking around campus, it's a smaller campus. I mean, when you think about compared to like UW, but it was really kind of fun. I found myself walking around smiling, thinking, yes, I see my student there. Yes, I could see why she really fell in love with it. And I haven't had a chance to speak with her yet, but I want to let her know that yes, I think that you chose well. And so that's always fun. Either going to a school where one of your students has committed to attend, or running into one of your students or arranging to see one of your students on a campus that you're visiting. Those are really some of the highlights. I find the real joys in this work. So it was a great tour. It's a pretty campus. It's so green and lush and everything. So yeah, so it was good. I was really glad I went on that one.
That is so true when you talk about the lushness of these campuses in the Pacific Northwest. I think I have probably about 25 pictures of trees. I fell in love. I love trees, and seeing some of the trees that are on these campuses and the shape of the trunks and the branches. There's so much artistry within these trees, and there are a few of us on the tour that we were taking probably more pictures of trees than we probably should have. But again, it was really nice. So the overall conference, so we had ACE speakers, and then we had sessions, and then we had opportunities to meet with vendors. Is there any part of and also the college fair, which is absolutely amazing for those of us that work with students who are attending college. So anyone would like to share anything about any of the particular sessions they attended aside from the pre-conference, any of the vendors they talked to, or what they felt about ACE speakers or the lunchtime speaker? So anyone who would like to go first?
Hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna be like the middle school teacher and pick on people. No, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna be quiet and let you go ahead and share.
Well, I enjoyed, in particular, a session where it was about something more building your business, but providing you with actual tools. And those are the kinds of things as a new business owner that I'm really gravitating towards to learn how to make it seamless and how to be more effective. So to see how one student of a mentor actually flipped and became the mentor of the person who was their student, if that makes sense. They kind of change roles. And to see that growth happen so quickly, and how she was able to share her tools with the group, it was great to see that. It's always inspiring to see how um, people use what they have and take it to the next level. So um, that was one that interested me, and I gained a lot of knowledge from.
Thank you. And I just want to remind folks that are out there watching this live, please join in the conversation. If you have questions, comments, anything, we'd love to have you join in with us. And if you are watching this on the replay, remember that you can still put in your comments because I'm monitoring this all the time. So thank you. And share it out. Make sure you're sharing it out. Okay, someone else. What else did you enjoy, or what stuck out for you?
Well, first of all, I'm sorry I missed seeing Antoinette be the bus mom. Now I know I have to be there next time. Um, I think from start to finish, for me, I was not only impressed with the caliber of sessions that they were offering, and it was for everyone at every level, whether you're dealing with schools or colleges or therapeutics, whatever area of the industry you're a part of, it was just amazing. And for me, going to Bill Smith's session on the FAFSA and all the changes and how to comprehend that with the CSS, I'm like, okay, I need to refer people to Bill. This is way over my head, as well as just the essay writing workshop and read and meeting people who will actually write these books, like Elizabeth Stone and forgetting her name is while writing, and they're actually in the room and you can ask them questions, and then hearing people talk about the models. Um, I don't know, I'm being very general, but models for working with students in terms of securing scholarships. Like Dr. B, you presented as well, and just different people. And for me, one of the things, again, I had those two hats on. I'm going as a consultant, but I'm also going as a business person. And to Ellen's point, one of the things that stuck out to me was Hannah Stotland and Stephanie Klein's workshop towards the very end. They talked about how to scale up your business, regardless of what level you're in, first year, second year, 10th year. That was pretty powerful for me because then I needed to know what strategies were they using. And it just really, for me, it was about starting with your story. And that's what they all went back to. What is your story? What is your brand? And this idea that I've been to other conferences where people are competing. This wasn't like competing. This was, you're in the pipeline, we're in the trenches together. Here's a strategy, use it. I don't care if you use it 10 times, just use it. And it was just so forthcoming and just for so giving. That just really stood out to me. And every session was the same. Every session, people are giving you skills that they built up over the years and willing to share that with you.
I love that you highlighted the collaborative nature of the work we do. I know when Antoinette and I first came into in 2012 as part of the whole IECA family, we weren't feeling that quite at first, but over the years, we're seeing where it is definitely becoming part of the personality of IECA, where people are collaborative, are sharing, and that's really important to me. You know, a story that I have when right after I did Summer Institute of 2012, there was another person here in Fayetteville that was also doing the same work. And I was thrilled because this can be very isolating work, especially if you're a solopreneur, if it's just you. For folks that have multiple consultants in their office, you know, they have people to bounce ideas off of and people to talk to on a regular basis. But when you're solo, it can be a little isolating. So I was so thrilled that there was someone here in Fayetteville, North Carolina that I could talk to. When I finally contacted the person and we had made arrangements to have lunch, I was so happy because, you know, being new to North Carolina, I was missing that social part. So I said, okay, so here's a part where I'm going to be able to talk to someone that understands what I do. We had a fantastic lunch. We talked for 2 hours. It was great. And I said, I can't wait until we meet again. And then that person said to me, no, we won't meet again because you're a competition. Like that hurt my heart. I was standing in the restaurant like a little kid wanting to cry because I couldn't believe this woman just said to me, "No, we're not going to ever do this again." So I am so glad to see the collaboration that happens within our group and within our organization, because that is such an important part of the work we do. There is just too many changes, too many nuances for one person to know everything or even to think they know everything, because it changes constantly. If nothing else, we know that. So Antoinette, tell me about what you really parts that resonated with you in addition to the foundation event.
I have to say, I think I'm still processing the conference since I returned from the conference and then headed to the East Coast. I'm a little blurry, a little fuzzy in the head, but I think for me, I don't know that there was any one particular session that stood out. But I do also, like you, Belinda, wish I had taken advantage of the wellness room, because I heard nothing but amazing things about it, and just really glad that one of the board members came up with that idea as an extension of the Wellness Wednesdays that the association provides. I think that it's important to have that kind of space, but I think for me, I can't think of any particular session that really just jumped out at me, but I think the part that I enjoyed was connecting dots for others. That's just something that I love to do. And, oh, you need to meet this person, or have you met this person? Let me introduce you. Those kinds of things, because I do feel that it can be, especially for so many of the newer, some of our newer colleagues, and so and it can be intimidating to walk up to somebody like, "Oh, you're the college essay guy, you're Ethan Sawyer," and knowing that, yeah, Belinda and I just happen to take pictures of with him at every conference. Just kind of breaking down some of those, like, Lisa, you talked about some of the folks in the room who are creating these wonderful resources that we use all the time. And so that was really fun to build some of those bridges. And that is kind of, I don't know, I like to do that. And so an opportunity to do that was just something that was very, very enjoyable, just kind of, making some of those connections. So I'll have to go back to all of my notes on the sessions that I did attend to, kind of refresh, but I've been in graduation celebration mode for the last few days. So
And congratulations on the graduation from Hampton University.
thank you. Yes, my granddaughter, she mastered it, and very, very proud of her. It's a very small department of folks that were getting their masters in architecture from Hampton, but it was a beautiful day, and really just love to see all of that.
And that's what
Thank
it's
you.
all about for us. That is what it's all about. Speaking of graduating with a master's in architecture, one of the sessions I went to was one that I was really curious about, because it was about helping kids develop a career mindset. And they talked a lot about the career services at the post-secondary level, and uh, having students use those early, not waiting until junior and senior year to reach out to the Career Services Center. And also talking about how can we take some of that knowledge or some of that work and infuse it in high schools. And I'm a big proponent of students having the opportunity to explore different careers and to learn what their options are, because I know growing up, coming from a single parent home, that I didn't see a variety of occupations. So I didn't know what was available out there to me. I became a teacher because I love school and it was a good place for me. And and I was always like kind of like the teacher's pet. So that was a really nice place to be. And another one that I went to see, again, was really kind of focused on some career stuff. One of my students this past year was interested in becoming a pilot. And actually, during last summer, he did get his private pilot's license right on his 18th birthday, 17th birthday, which was really cool. And I wanted to learn more about what the programs are out there for students that are interested in a career in aviation. And there was a session on that, and it was fabulous. But again, it helped me understand the nuances between the programs. You can have a list of 25 colleges that offer aviation, but you need to know all these little pieces about why this might be stronger for this particular student. And does this one offer this many hours of flight time? How many hours of flight time do you need? What do you need? Who's accredited? Who's certified? Who has their own planes? Like, I didn't know that was a thing. It's a big deal. Who has their own planes? What type of planes are they? And where are they located? Are they located on campus? Are they located somewhere far away from campus where students now have to get transportation to get their flight time in? Um, Looking at colleges and looking at the weather. If the weather is bad, you're not flying. So you might want to look at a school that typically has decent weather all the time. The funny thing is, those schools sometimes might have the more difficult programs to get into because everybody wants to go there because they know they can get the flight time. And there's so many pieces to it. I mean, that's just a snippet. I wanted to go because two of the people, actually all four of the people, all have children who have gone through the process or are going through the process. One of the presenters is actually a pilot and had taught aviation classes and what have you. So hearing it from experts, people who have been doing research on this for quite a while, was really interesting. It let me know how much I don't know and how much I still need to learn. So I was really excited about that particular workshop. So once the conference ended, I know, Antoinette, you had to leave right on that Wednesday when everything ended because you were going to that wonderful graduation of your granddaughter. Um, who visited colleges? Did anyone visit colleges after the conference besides me? Lisa? No, Rosella? No. Okay, I figured seeing as I was out there on the Pacific Northwest, out there on the West Coast, let me go and visit some colleges. And two of the colleges I really wanted to visit because they're part of the colleges that change lives were Reed College and Lewis and Clark. I always hear people talking about them and how you've got to be there to believe it. And you've got to see it. I have this thing of you go on a college campus and now I like, oh man, I want to go back to school. I want to go to this college. So I wanted to go to Lewis and Clark by the time I got off the campus. Then I got on Reed and listened to all they have to offer and what their environment is like for students. I said, okay, now I want to go to Reed. So I think I'm just going to do a semester at different schools, just audit classes and do that. And then we had the opportunity to also go to the University of Portland. So that was really interesting. Like I told you, we were just amazed at, and I love that word that you said, the lushness of the campuses. They were gorgeous. They were just absolutely wonderful. Then, so that was on Thursday. And then on Friday, we went to visit Willamette, which rhymes with damn it. So that's how you remember how to say that correctly. And so we visited Willamette, and then we visited George Fox College, and last but not least, Oregon State. So it was really nice to go to Oregon State. I did not realize how big that campus is and how many students are there. It was amazing. The hospitality from all the colleges was absolutely wonderful. The tour guides are so well versed in their colleges. And I have to say that, they were being asked some hard questions, and they stood up to the questioning, and were able to give us information that we needed for our students. So what's nice about when we get to go on tours is that when tours are created for us, they focus on activities and events and curricula and new buildings and programs that we're concerned about, that we need to know in order to help our students. So it's a little different when it's the student parent tour. It's very much geared toward us, as far as the type of information we get. So I appreciate every single one of the people on the tours. I appreciate Tanesha Norman, who is a person at IECA who puts these tours together, because that is a tremendous amount of work. When you have, I mean, when we went to the University of Washington, we had 2 full charter buses going. And that's like trying to herd cats, because everybody wants to go do this or do that. And it's so important that you're at the bus on time so we stay on schedule. We had a little adventure toward the end when we got to Oregon State. We realized, actually, someone realized during the college fair when they were looking at the schedule and they talked to somebody from Oregon State. They asked, "So, how long does it take to get from where you are to the airport?" And when they looked at the schedule, they said, "You might want to flip that schedule a little bit." So we did end up, so Tanesha and her committee did end up changing the timing of it. And, there was some traffic. There was some traffic driving from Corvallis to Portland. So those of us, so there were probably about a good maybe 6 to 8 of us that had flights that were close to 8 o'clock. So we were, that whole commercial where you see somebody running through the airport. Well, we were running fast. We were moving a little fast. We didn't have to quite run, but we had to like pick up the step a little bit. But thank God for TSA pre, so that you can like get through it and what have you. So it was really great. I think that was my first time doing a red eye. Don't know if I quite like doing that. I thought I would sleep better. I slept some. I spent my time taking pictures of the sunrise because I just thought it was so beautiful. The guy next to me kept looking at me, wondering why I was taking my camera out. But whenever you can enjoy nature at any level, it's really absolutely wonderful. Um, so another thing about the conference that I really enjoyed, again, is getting to talk to the vendors, and as Lisa said, talking to the people who wrote the books. So I had seen this book before, and this is the book I introduced at the beginning. This is my book recommendation. So I've seen this book before, and there are quite a few books that come out about getting ready for college and what have you. So having the opportunity to talk to the author in depth really helped me decide that this is a book that I wanted to get for myself and also to get for some of my students. So again, that's one of the neat things. And like Antoinette said, people that are in this business have heard of the college essay guy, but to get to meet Ethan in person and see what a cool person he is. I mean, he's just so laid back and calm, and he's just one of those people that you want to be around all the time. And I'm just gonna tell you, I was fangirling at Oregon State. I had to get a picture with John Bockenstadt because, I mean, he's the guru of college data. If he puts out one of those data tables, that it's something that you need to look at. And he doesn't mince words about what he thinks is bad, what he thinks is good or not so good for students in higher education. So he's definitely one of those people that when he talks, everybody listens. So any parting words on what you would recommend? What would you recommend to folks who may be going to a conference for the first time? Because one of the wonderful things that's happening for IECA is that we're continuing to grow. So we're getting new members all the time. And one of the nice things about our organization, for people who don't know, people can specialize in different areas. So there are people that work with students who are transitioning to college, people who work with students who are going to boarding schools, people that work on therapeutics, learning disabilities, students that going to graduate school. Some people just focus on people going to medical school, or like one of our colleagues, Sydney Montgomery, focusing on students becoming lawyers. So there are so many opportunities for people to find their niche and really work at it, and to also have a great network of folks to reach out to if you need some more information or you just need some clarification about something. So, having attended this conference and everybody having their experience, what advice would you give to someone who may be coming to one of these conferences for the first time? And I'm going to start with Lisa.
Okay. Well, don't miss. So I mistakenly thought I would have downtime to go see Seattle and do all that stuff, you don't have time. You wouldn't want to miss anything from. I almost missed out on the foundation event, which I saw people dancing and being a fashionista. Where do you get to see that? That's only at that event. Um, but just going with the mindset that you're there for with a goal in mind. I wanted to learn more about how to do what I do well. I wanted to meet people who I've never met before, and also wanted to build my business. And just having that mindset when you go, it just makes it so much better. You walk away fuller, you walk away fulfilled. I had to rest the following day. I don't know how you had time to do the tours, but that's something I would add on next time, either pre conference or otherwise. But I think anyone who's thinking about this, it's an investment in yourself and in your practice. It's an investment in people, knowing, getting to know people and getting to know you. And funny, I just mentioned this funny story. People kept thinking I was another Lisa Thomas.
Oh,
They're
yes.
like, oh my gosh, you've changed. I'm like, nope, nope, wrong Lisa Thomas.
Yeah, there is another Lisa Thomas. I think she's in Minnesota.
Minnesota. We
Yes,
are now friends
Minnesota.
because people have mistaken our identities previously. But that was also funny too. Like, nope, you have the wrong Lisa Thomas. And but it was just nice to know that I knew people already going in. So just even getting connected to different groups before going creates a space where you don't feel like you're alone or you're isolated walking into this conference. But I do think it's an investment in your practice, in yourself, and for your students. Meeting those vendors, I couldn't go to the tours, but I made a concerted effort to go speak to the vendors and the schools that were presented there and represented there. And so I took advantage of that. So take advantage of this space. It's an amazing opportunity.
Thank you. Rosellen, what would you like to share with folks who may be going to a conference for the first time?
Get a big sister. Antoinette, who's here on the call with us, is my big sister, and she speaks about networking and connecting those who are newer to the practice, and she's done that, especially for me. And I'm very grateful. It makes a huge difference when you are in a room of 1,000 people and you may not know anyone, but you have someone who's willing to take you by the hand and introduce you to the community. So, if you're considering going, I highly encourage you to do that. I highly encourage you to step outside of your shell and shake a hand and ask a question and take the opportunity to meet people, because that's why you are there. They are all around you, and they're willing to help. So it's a wonderful organization, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So that's
Thank
it.
you. Antoinette, my twin, what wise words of wisdom do you have for folks?
Well, I started off talking about, pace yourself, um, and really try not to let yourself get overwhelmed. Hopefully, the association will continue the wonderful idea of kind of the wellness lounge, so that folks can, whether you're an introvert or not, just where you can just have a safe space to go and be for 3 or 4 times a day. Just go in. I know was talking to one consultant, and she said that she went in there probably 5 times, and she go in there for about 5 minutes and lay on the mats and just total quiet, and then she come out and she was recharged. So I just think that I used to feel like I had to go to every single session, every single aspect of the conference in order to make it worth my financial investment of going. And I'm at a point now where I recognize that the investment is multifaceted. So like in San Diego, when I went to the conference, it was about connecting with people. And that's what I needed to walk away with, having made some really and deepened some connections. And this time it was a bit more about kind of mentoring. I say that very loosely, and also kind of picking and choosing and figuring out the things that, yes, I need to hear that information live, or other parts is like, okay, well, I'll go back and, look at the slides, and at least I know who to reach out to and those kinds of things. But, my philosophy about from day one, and Belinda, we did a session, and I think it was it not quite, I think it was about 8 years ago or so now, in Boston at the conference, and that is find your people. And
Mhm.
I'm just a huge believer in finding your people, because I think this work especially if you're a solopreneur, Belinda, as you mentioned, can be very overwhelming. It can be great to be with people, but to know who those people are, you need to have, I think, your trusted places. Especially, I remember starting out, and it's like, okay, this is probably a stupid question, or this is probably something I should know, but I don't know. So who are my folks to go ask? And so I think that as the association has grown, and as communities have formed where people are filling those safe spaces, not that they just stay in those silos, but that they do have those kind of places that they can kind of call home and feel safe and ask anything, as they continue then to move out into the larger association. And I just think that that is just kind of an ongoing thing. And find what you need, and it could change at every conference in terms of what you feel like you really need. And so, Lisa, you talked very aptly about getting information about building your business, but also getting information about being a more effective counselor and doing that work better. And that is always kind of that struggle that, that we have. And I'm not the best business person, so that's why I don't consider myself to be a mentor really. But, it's like we do have to balance that a lot. We have to figure out, our practices, but then also how can we become better counselors? And through it all, how can we stay the human beings that brought us to this work, and continue to act on our why in terms of how we want to impact the lives of young people. And so and that changes from time to time, so from conference to conference. But I think that for all of us on this call, and I think for probably most of the members in the association, it's like, okay, remember why you came to this work. And so, what is it that you need to do to fulfill that, or to continue to feed that, or renew that, or energize that why? So that's what I say, going to the conference. But give yourself grace and say, yep, I wanted to go to all these sessions, but I'm on overload. I'm not processing. I cannot sit here and absorb this. I know I can't. And it's also, oh, you're going to that session. Can we exchange notes?
Mhm.
Because I'm going to go over here, or I just need to sit. And so, again, that collegial spirit. And as you grow your network, and folks that you feel comfortable, because somebody might be put off. Well, wait a minute, I'm going to the session and you want my notes, but again, that's about building those communities and those relationships. So long-winded
Oh,
answer, sorry.
no, that is so true. You see in my under my name, Dr. B, you see three words there: grace, play, and community. So I've been doing this exercise that a colleague of mine has done for several years. So I started doing where you pick three words of intention for the year. So these were my three words for 2023. And I try to infuse them in everything I do. So for me, the conference, when you talked about grace, Antoinette, that is so true. I gave myself grace, and when I would just go to the room, or, I love the college fair, but I get overwhelmed with all of those people and all of that talk and questions. So I said, okay, you're going to give yourself grace. You're going to talk to 4 to 5 people, and you're good. It's okay. And then with the play, one of the things I did is I came in early because I knew you were coming in early. And that Sunday, we got to, with a group of people, just walk around Seattle, go down to the public market and watch them throw the fish, and eat out at a restaurant, and just get to see the city. I have to admit that I went in Nordstrom Rack. We went in there and had to do a little, retail therapy. But we got to do that. And then once the conference started, we dived into the conference. But most of all, that community. This is such an amazing community that we belong to, and it seems to be growing um, all the time. Antoinette is the hostess with the mostest because she was making connections and bringing people over to the table. I'm like, Lord, this woman that went and found somebody else, but is so good at that. Is so good at making sure that people feel like they're part of the community and that they know people in the community. And that is essential for this work, because in building our relationships with our students and with our families, we need to have this community to fall back on in order to keep us sane with all the changes, with all the stuff that's going on. I thank each one of you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here and to let people know about the benefits of attending an IECA conference. And for those people who are thinking about engaging with an independent educational consultant for their students, please, please, please make sure that you reach out to somebody that is part of a professional association, somebody who is doing the professional development, somebody who has that community that they can reach out to. It is too important for you in helping your child not to have somebody who is highly qualified to do this work. So again, I thank you ladies for being here, and I definitely want you to stay on for a few seconds after I end this. I do want to remind people that next Monday, my guest will be Amanda Olivier, who is the president of Voice, which is the Association for Black Veterinary Students at North Carolina State University. And again, talking about community, I went to their open house March 25th and saw all the student clubs and organizations. So I just started reaching out to people. Amanda responded. So she's going to be here next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, telling us about her pathway to becoming a veterinary student. She is in her third year, and about all the leadership opportunities that she has had as a result. So I hope folks join me next Monday for that. And again, ladies, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. I'm glad that I know you. And Antoinette, you know you're my heart. So definitely, definitely, definitely. So folks, thank you so much. Remember, if you have comments or questions and watching this on the replay, you can certainly put it in the section, and I will make sure you get an answer to your question or a response to your comment. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening, and I will see you all next Monday.